Welcome to Fun and Games Side Quests. Every episode is a different host sharing a video game they love and why they love it.
Hello, Fun and Games fanatics. Keith Gasper here from the Main Quest podcast, which, if I'm correct, is the #1 retro gaming podcast that talks about, you have that right, retro video games. That's the word on the street anyway. Today, I'm here to talk about the OG Resident Evil 2 for the Sony PlayStation, a game that was a cornerstone of my childhood and one I still believe holds up today. And no, I'm not here to be an edgelord and lecture you about tank controls. I'm not about to bust into your house and shout, "Well, actually, tank controls are necessary to the survival horror experience." Well, modern indie devs are actually doing that job for me, and honestly, they're doing it pretty damn well. So my first Resident Evil game was the original back when I was 12 or 13 years old. And between being too scared to finish it, not having a memory card, and the fact that we got rid of our PlayStation pretty much just as soon as we bought one, I didn't actually come back to the series until like a year or two later, after Resident Evil 2 had already made waves. And so while I played the first game, Resident Evil 2 is the official start of my journey with the series. And I like the first game. You know, don't get me wrong. The mansion is great. The setup for the story is great. And the hideously corny dialogue is fantastic. It's iconic for a reason. But for me, the Raccoon City Police Department is a far more intriguing world to explore. The way Capcom justified this bizarrely puzzle-heavy police station with the old museum backstory not only works, but it gives the place personality. The R.P.D. feels like an actual character in the game and not just a backdrop. You know, every room in the place has a story to tell and it has a reason to be there. And I think the writing and the cast has also taken a huge step forward. Instead of the first game's elite cops reading cue cards, we get a surprisingly fleshed out mix of characters, starting with our two main characters. You got Leon S. Kennedy, who was basically the world's most overqualified, but also underpaid first-day employee. Who's late on the job, by the way. And then you've got Claire Redfield, who is Bae, and a badass with a personal mission, and who actually carries some of the emotional weight in the story when it comes to things that happen later on in the game. And the supporting cast, I mean, you get Ada Wong, Sherry, Annette, William Birkin, Chief Irons. All of them get way more screen time and characterization than anyone in the supporting cast from the first game did. And the culmination of the entire cast gives real context to Umbrella's corruption and the tragedy that is unfolding in Raccoon City. There's more humanity here, there's higher stakes, and a bit more flavor text to the entire game. Now, admittedly, I do miss the FMV intros from the first game. I understand why they got rid of them. The in-engine cutscenes give like the whole experience a cleaner, more unified tone. But man, those live action sequences, those were the shit in the 90s. It's undeniable. They made buying a game feel like an event. Like you were buying a movie and a game at the same time. And of course, every Resident Evil game has their iconic moments. And Resident Evil 2 is stuffed with moments that I will never forget, like the first liquor encounter. You know, the first time you turn that corner in the waiting room and you see something run across the window outside. Great stuff. And then when you're in the locker room and you find Marvin, and then you find Marvin again, the alligator boss. And then, of course, who can forget Mr. X, who's not the first pursuer villain in video game history, but absolutely the first one that made 15-year-old me contemplate never roaming around my house ever again alone. And gameplay-wise, because I suppose I should talk about the gameplay, correct? Who am I kidding? You probably know what RE2 is about. It's classic survival horror at its peak. You got limited ammo, limited inventory, puzzles, interconnected radial level design, and a ton of anxiety, which is manifested through making poor decisions throughout the game. And even though I do love the 2019 remake, the 1998 game has something special that the remake does not, and that is the zapping system. And so what is the zapping system? Well, it's very clever, very forward-thinking. So starting as Leon or Claire, it doesn't just determine the difficulty of the game anymore, because your choices in the first playthrough now actually affect your second playthrough. So items that you take early vanish from the B scenario, enemy layouts shift, story beats differ, and the two campaigns eventually lock together like puzzle pieces by the end of it. It makes the game feel bigger than its runtime, and it rewards replays in a way the series really hasn't replicated since. For me, the zapping system is the secret sauce. It's why I think the original has an edge over its younger sibling. And now I'll admit, after Resident Evil 3, I kind of fell off the series. It wasn't until the remake of 2 was announced that I dove back in, because I just remember how much I loved this game. And so I replayed it in anticipation of the remake, and it just reminded me of how much personality these early games used to have. And personality that with the remakes have kind of been smoothed out for over the past couple of years. You know, I always say the original games, including 4, by the way, are like the 1960s Batman. You know, that's colorful, campy, weird, and pulpy. And the remakes are a lot closer to like the gritty Christopher Nolan reboots. You know, both have their place, but they're very different flavors of horror. You know, growing up watching stuff like Zombie 3 and The Dead Pit, Chud 2, Bud the Chud, and like stuff like The Guyver. It was really easy for me to appreciate the cheesy B-movie schlock that Capcom was throwing down on the table. And actually, now that I said it, Capcom should absolutely make a Guyver game. That would totally fit in with what they're putting out. Anyway, I have no idea what I'm doing on time. Probably running out of it. And so before I ramble for another hour, I will just say that even here in the year of our Lord, 2025 or 2026, I don't know. Matt, when is this coming out? RE2 still shines. You know, when modern survival horror indies like Signalis, Tormented Souls, and Murder House are keeping the genre alive, Resident Evil 2 still stands toe-to-toe with those. It's the formula at its peak. It's absolute peak. It's great. With that said, if you've already forgotten, I am Keith, and I am from the Main Quest podcast. And if you want an episode to jump into and you want to hear a familiar voice, Matt has been basically squatting on my show for over the past year. And we've talked about a lot of stuff. We've talked about Sonic CD, Super Metroid, F-Zero, and Final Fantasy IV. So we've pretty much ran the gamut as far as genres go. So there's a little bit of everything for everyone in there. And Jeff, I'm coming for you next. That is a threat. And if you are a Resident Evil diehard, I've covered all the mainline lore across the entire series, which is like, I don't know, 20 hours of content. I haven't actually counted. It's a lot. I think I blacked out somewhere around Resident Evil 6. And of course, when Requiem drops, you can go run and tell your mother because I'll be back at it. So until then, remember, it's okay to like a video game. And as always, happy gaming.
Hey.
Oh, hey, Jeff.
What's going on, guys?
Oh, talking about Superman.
Oh, cool. I could talk about Superman.
I could talk some more about Superman.
We know.
I'll bet a few people would want to get in on this.
I'm down.
You know it.
That sounds like fun. I'll do it.
Cool, let's do it. We can call the show Men of Steel.
And you can find it at certainpov.com.
Or wherever you get your podcasts.
Yay.
CPOV.
certainpov.com.